Hello, my name is Soleil and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a tier ranking of all of the movies that I saw in 2024. I would have you guess right now how many movies I saw. Now's your time. Make your guesses in the comments. How many movies do you think I saw this year? I will let you know at the end of this video what the actual total is, but I am very intrigued to hear your guesses. I did ask this of my friends and one of them guessed much higher than the actual total, so I was humbled. But without further ado, let's tier rank all of the movies that I watched last year in 2024. So this is not in order of when I saw them. I just put all of the covers in. I also did this for all of the books that I read last year, so feel free to check out that one. Because this is quite a few more than the books that I read, I'm going to keep my thoughts a little bit shorter, otherwise we will be here for hours. So I have divided this up into 5 tiers, which loosely corresponds with the 5-star system. First up, we have cinematic masterpiece. So this is truly like a masterpiece of cinema, favorite movie, new favorite, loved it, incredible. Then we have fantastic. Like, it was a fantastic film. Maybe not a new favorite, maybe something going on, but like fantastic. Then we have it was a film, it did the thing. Solid movie, but maybe some part of it I didn't connect it. Maybe it was a little slow. Maybe it's got something that just didn't do it, but like, good movie, you know? Then we have it has something but nothing for me. So here is where I can recognize that it was a movie, it's got something going on, but maybe some part of it just really did not connect with me. I didn't love it, but I can still appreciate it has something, but not for me. Then we have the lowest of the low, which is I should have DNF'd. I should have not finished it. I did not like it. It was not for me. It was not maybe for anybody. This is truly, I disliked the film. So now, without further ado, let's do this. So first off, I mean, we are starting very strong with The Princess Diaries. Loved this movie. I rewatched it right before I had a really stressful thing, and I was just so anxious, could not sleep the night before, and rewatched it, and it was the best choice because I love this film. This is absolutely a cinematic masterpiece. Fantastic. Highly recommend. Then we have Remember the Titans. This is a true story based off of something that happened with a local high school Virginia football team. Great film. Honestly, fantastic film. So well done. I've never heard of this film before I watched it, and it hit it out of the park. So honestly, fantastic film. Then we have the first Star Wars. So this was a rewatch because I have already seen the first original Star Wars. I can't remember when I rewatched this, but at some point last year I rewatched it. Great film, honestly, fantastic. It is a good time. I'm still on my Star Wars journey of watching all of the Star Wars movies, which you will see shortly because we have a lot more Star Wars movies. I'm like halfway through all of them. I recently messed up in my order because I did not realize one of the TV shows was in between one of the movies. So now I have to backtrack, but we're on our way. Then I rewatched Brother Bear. This was also a situation where I think at the beginning of last year, there was just a lot of stressful things going on, and I needed to rewatch some classic animated movies, and I rewatched Brother Bear, and the 2 Canadian moose in this movie I remembered as being peak comedy, and they still are. They're still fantastic. The movie didn't hit as hard as it had when I was younger, but still a great film. Honestly, it was a film and it did the thing. Then we have Star Wars Episode 3, Episode 2, and Episode 1. All of these are fantastic movies. I put them all honestly on the same level. Isn't episode 3 the same? Because the original Star Wars is episode 4, right? I'm pretty sure. Honestly, as I said, I'm still on my journey. I'm still figuring this out, you guys. So, I don't know. Okay, then we have some Toy Story movies. I will do Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 altogether, even though they're not on the same row right now. I mean, they're on the same row. They're not next to each other in the lineup because it's random. I don't love Toy Story. I know a lot of people do, and I am so happy that a lot of people do. I don't connect with it. I watched them for the first time last year because one of my friends loves them and was shocked that I had never watched them. I finally watched them, wasn't feeling it. I watched all 4 of them, and first one was all right. Second one, pretty decent. Third one got wild. Fourth one, did not like. So we've got, honestly, all of these are in It Was a Film, It Did the Thing, because I just did not really dig that. Why is this lagging so much? Then, oh wait, no. Actually, 4 was It Has Something, but nothing for me. Let's be real. Then we have Sleepless in Seattle. This was also a rewatch. Someone I knew went to Seattle, and that's why this like jogged my, oh yeah. So I was inspired to rewatch Sleepless in Seattle. Great film. Really enjoyed it. Honestly, I would put it somewhere in between fantastic and It Was a Film. I think it's fantastic. It's a great love story. It's a little bit slow. Love the vibes. Good stuff. Nora Ephron? Is this a Nora Ephron movie? Maybe. Maybe. I recently watched the original Twister. Good stuff. Great film. Really enjoyed it. I'm obsessed with Twisters that came out last year. I watched it, I think, 4 times in cinemas. Loved it. The original Twisters was good. I enjoyed it. Somewhere between It Was a Film, It Did the Thing and fantastic. I don't think, honestly, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time. But I think it was a film, It Did the Thing. Then I watched the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Had never seen it. This is the Gene Wilder one. Enjoyed it. Had a good time. It was a film. It did the thing. Next up, I watched the original Gladiator before I watched the sequel to the Gladiator film that came out last year. This one also, it was a film, it did the thing. I had an enjoyable time. I thought it was good. I thought it was a bit slow. I think I definitely enjoyed the second one quite a bit more, which the second one's somewhere down here in the list. I'll find it later. Russell Crowe did a great job. I think the directing was good. It just, I don't know. It took a while for the story to really develop. I watched Rush, which is a Formula One story based off of true events. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic film. Was totally engaged. So good. I watched that on a plane ride at some point last year. Amazing choice. I also rewatched The Wolf of Wall Street. Also on a plane, which is a choice. If you've seen The Wolf of Wall Street, you know that's a choice to watch when you're sitting right next to other people. But I had a great time. It's a good movie. Honestly, it's fantastic. Excellent film. It's like 3 hours long. There's a scene where, what's this man's name? Leonardo DiCaprio. There's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio is high on Quaaludes. And if you've seen this scene, I think you can also agree that the acting, peak acting, honestly. He's like crawling all fours trying to get into his car. Fantastic acting. He hit it out of the park. I rewatched Inside Out before I saw Inside Out 2. And I like Inside Out. But Inside Out 2 hits you in a deep part of your soul. And there's this whole side plot in the first Inside Out that just isn't really for me with Bing Bong. I don't connect with the character of Bing Bong. I think if I had watched Inside Out when I was younger and not like a preteen, maybe that character would have been more fun and nostalgic for me. But at the point that I watched it, he just wasn't for me. Either way, Inside Out is fantastic. The entire concept of Inside Out is just excellent. Oh my god, I forgot. Last year was long. It was a long year. I watched Lone Survivor at some point last year. This was the story of a guy who is in some branch of the US military industrial complex. I don't remember which branch he was in, but he was military of some kind. He went on a mission somewhere. I can't even remember where it was. I think it was somewhere in the Middle East. That's all I really remember. It was a solid film. It had some good drama, some good action. Honestly, as you can tell, it wasn't that memorable. So it was a film, it did the thing. I watched Jack Whitehall's comedy special at large. You will see I watched, I think, all 3 or 4 of his comedy specials. Really enjoyed all of them. At this point, I can't remember which of them is the one I liked a little bit less, because I watched them all in succession when I was really stressed. And one of them, I think it was the first one that he did, I liked a little bit less than all of the other ones. I really loved his latest one and the one right before. So I would say fantastic for all of them, with the caveat of whichever one was the first one that came out, I think in 2017 or 18, is the one I like slightly less. So, oh my god, I watched Hereditary. You should know that I do not like horror films. I have seen horror films of my own volition, and because of others, sometimes it was my choice. I have a list of horror films that I think are good and fantastic and well done, and I am willing to be terrified and not sleep for a night because of those ones. This one is a very well done horror film, and it's, oh, there's a scene where it's not even like, it's a psychological type of thriller moment where it messes you up. Like, it is deeply horrifying, this thing that happens. Oh! I'm gonna say it was a film, it did the thing. That is partially because I am not a fan of horror. As I said, there are horror films that I really enjoyed and that I will sacrifice my feeling of safety for in order to watch or to watch again. This one I cannot ever see ever again because it is horrifying. But either way, it was a film, it did the thing, it is a horror movie, and just because I'm not into horror doesn't mean it wasn't good. But my god, I can't do it again. Super Mario Bros. I love Super Mario Bros. Excellent film. Beautiful film. I've watched it at least 3 times. I think this was a rewatch last year. Yeah, because it came out the year before, I think. Rewatch. Great film. They managed to capture the world, the Mario Kingdom world universe so well, and they have all these different Easter eggs that hint at the different Mario worlds video games. Like, there's a whole Mario Kart scene, and they just integrated it so well with the plot of the movie, and the plot was good, and all of the character voice acting was good, and the animation was beautiful. It was just, this is a cinematic masterpiece. Excellent film. Wonderful. Highly recommend. I think it's streamable on Netflix, or you can be weird like me and own it on DVD. Highly recommend. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Ugh. Incredible film. So good. This was a rewatch. I have seen it previously when it came out or right after it came out and had really enjoyed it. I just hadn't rewatched it since then. It was available to watch on my plane ride. I watched it. It was just as incredible as I remembered it, if not more so. Everyone in this movie is beautiful. So many hot people in this movie. The plot is intricate and fascinating. The acting is amazing. The action and the drama, just fantastic. Classic spy film. Post World War II, I think so, pretty sure. Cinematic masterpiece, excellent. Then we have, I think this is the first Spider-Man. Yes, this is the first Into the Spider-Verse film. Amazing. I rewatched this right before I went to the sequel, Across the Spider-Verse, I think, in concert. Phenomenal experience. Basically, they had the movie up on a screen in like a play theater house, and then they had a full piece orchestra who were playing the soundtrack live for you, and they really encouraged you to make sounds and shout out when your favorite characters were playing and to really be there in the moment with everyone. Amazing experience. And rewatching this, cinematic masterpiece. Excellent film. I watched Solo, which is one of the newer Star Wars movies that takes place before a lot of other things. The timeline order of the Star Wars movies is so confusing. And what's annoying about the newer ones is they made the newer ones assuming you have already seen all of the older made movies, but that happened later. So there's all of these little Easter eggs and hints that they put into these newer movies that happen earlier in the timeline. But someone like me who is new on their Star Wars journey, there's all of these moments where you know that it's some kind of Easter egg and you know that they're doing like a little, but without the context of explaining it because they assume you know what's going on. So like that was a bummer. It was a great it was a great movie. I would have enjoyed it more if there weren't all of these little moments where you're like, I know you're trying to tell me something, but I don't know what it is because I haven't seen the future where these new events happen, you know? So that was kind of weird and confusing, but honestly still a fantastic film. Still very good. I watched Midsommar, one of the scary horror movies that I wanted to watch of my own volition, that I knew was good or had heard was good, and was willing to put myself into that situation. It was not what I had in mind, maybe? I don't know. It was a film, it did the thing. It was, I don't know, it just didn't fully do it for me. It was good. The acting was good. It was just, I knew it was gonna be weird, but like, I don't know, it just felt a little discombobulated. Is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe. I watched Rogue One, which is funny because I rewatched Rogue One, and Rogue One is one of the first Star Wars movies I ever watched because I was working an event where we were showing this movie when it came out, or a little bit after it came out. And when I had watched it, I had no context, knew nothing about what was going on, was very confused. Now I watched it in timeline order, realized that I was supposed to watch the Yonder TV series before. My bad. But I watched in timeline order and I was like, whoa. Now it's all making sense. Like, this is cool. So, fantastic film. Really enjoyed it. Good stuff. Next we have Father Figures. This was a movie I saw when my dad was visiting. Solid film. It did the thing. It had some funny moments. Classic Owen Wilson type movie. I watched Wicked. I enjoyed it. I didn't love the first half of Wicked. I enjoyed the second half of Wicked. I knew nothing about the storyline, had no idea what was going on, was very confused for a little bit. The first part were just weird vibes. Like, it just, I don't know. I just wasn't connecting with it. The second half, when they start to become friends, I was like, okay, I can get down with this. This is cool. Yeah. I don't know. I can respect how beautiful it was, all of the artistic talents that went into it. The singing was phenomenal. My gosh, their voices blended together so beautifully, but it wasn't really for me. It was a film. and it did the thing. Oh my gosh, this is getting so large. Okay. Happiest Season was a rewatch. Love Happiest Season. Fantastic film. Honestly, a cinematic masterpiece. How am I supposed to... Ugh. I guess that's that. Deadpool and Wolverine. Here's the thing. On the one hand, I think they did a great job with what the film was. I was really impressed. I was really entertained. On the other hand, I was not expecting for it to be so deeply in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it was. I thought it would be tangential, like some other recent Marvel movies have been, but it wasn't. You needed to have watched multiple other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in order to understand what was going on, which was very annoying. But it was a good film. I think it was fantastic. We're putting it up in fantastic. There we go. I rewatched Thor Ragnarok recently. Fantastic film, hilarious, stands up to the test of time. One of the best Marvel movies, if we're being honest. I watched the, what is this called? Downton Abbey movie. This was the first Downton Abbey movie, and I thought I had seen it. I don't know if I have, because I was watching this whole movie. None of it was ringing a bell at all. I have no idea if I ever watched this. Fantastic film, was a little slow at times. I checked how much more I had left in this movie about halfway through, and I still had more than an hour left. So, I don't know. That was a bit... Oh, I rewatched Are You There, God? It's Me, Margot. Great film. Excellent film about coming of age and finding yourself as a young teen, as a young woman, and really coming into your own. All of these questions about who she was, her family, what her own beliefs were, and her connections to something greater. Masterpiece. Cinematic masterpiece. If I can only bring it up here. Oh my gosh. And we continue with Monkey Man. I watched Monkey Man last year. Great film. Great film. Dev Patel is a phenomenal actor, and he also directed this one, and he has some directing talents. If you know anything about this movie, cinematic masterpiece. Excellent film. There we go. I watched Dune Part 2. You need to know that I watched Dune Part 2 after I came back from a trip to Tanzania and Rwanda, and I had an ungodly number of hours of time difference. And I think I watched this the day after I returned. Actually, the day I returned, because I landed at like 1 a.m. and then I watched it the next day at like 1 p.m. And I fell asleep in this theater multiple times. I tried so hard to stay awake. I was eating candy and popcorn and drinking a giant soda, and it was not working. So I missed a lot of this movie. So my rating really should not have any consequence to this film, because I meant to go see it again, but it's like 3 hours long. And because I didn't really enjoy my experience the first time, I didn't really feel like seeing it again. So at some point I will rewatch this and my rating may change. For my experience, it was a film, it did the thing. I missed a lot of the political context, you guys. So truly don't take my judgment of this movie as anything, because I did not know half of this movie. I couldn't tell you what the plot was. I maybe got the first hour and a half, and then the second hour and a half, no idea, not a clue. I rewatched Your Place or Mine. Great film, great rom-com. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's a good time. Fantastic movie. Fantastic movie. Okay, now we have the next Jack Whitehall I'm Only Joking comedy special. This might be the first one that I liked a little bit less, but again, I can't remember, so all of them are going to the fantastic level. One day, maybe I'll remember the difference between these specials. I watched Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. I've been wanting to see this movie for over a year and a half. It was so briefly in theaters. I was so excited to watch it when it came out, and they took it out of theaters very quickly, which was so annoying. And I blame the big blockbusters, because the big blockbusters, they put in every single time slot, and then they leave these amazing, adorable movies like Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris at the 1 p.m. on a Thursday slot. And then they take it out of theaters after 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't know how you expected me to go watch a movie at 1 p.m. on a Thursday. Couldn't have just left one evening, just one evening showing, while big blockbusters have 14. Just saying. This movie was, it's either fantastic or a cinematic masterpiece. I don't know. I can't decide. This was such an amazing movie, but was it cinematic masterpiece? Honestly, yeah. Yeah, we're putting it up at cinematic masterpiece. Here we are. This is what happens when you watch too many movies. You run out of room. Gladiator 2. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed Gladiator 2. It was a great film. I had a great time. The action was excellent. There were some problems, like the sharks. We all know about it, the sharks. I enjoyed it more than the first Gladiator. I think the second Gladiator in my book was fantastic. I enjoyed the acting more. It was a little bit faster pace. And because I had just seen the first Gladiator the day before, there were all these little Easter eggs and flashbacks and little hints to the original. And I really enjoyed how they constructed the plot for this one, because beforehand, I did not know what the plot of the second Gladiator film was going to be. I had no idea if it tied into the first one, how it tied in, and the way that they did it, I think, was the best possible way that they could, and it was great. So this goes up to fantastic. If it could move, great. I rewatched The Menu. The Menu is one of those films that I knew was going to be scary going in, and I was willing to sacrifice my feeling of safety, my ability to sleep that night. And it was an excellent film. Where did it just go? Oh, okay, apparently it already moved to fantastic. Well, it is a fantastic film. Next Goal Wins is the incredible true story about the American Samoan football team who tried to make it to the World Championships after a god-awful loss many years before. And it's beautifully made. It's a fantastic film. I loved it. So up it goes to cinematic masterpiece. Twisters. Twisters 2024 is one of the best films ever created. It has everything. It has action, it has drama, it has an incredible plot, it has heartfelt character connections, it has a little bit of romance, it has progressive cowboys who believe in human rights, it has excitement and tornadoes. This film is phenomenal. This is a cinematic masterpiece. Up it goes. Up it goes to cinematic masterpiece. Oh, right where it belongs. Madam Web was one of the worst films I've ever seen. This movie didn't have to be so bad. The plot made no sense. There was this moment where they were trying to circle it back to Spider-Man, and it was one of the worst Easter eggs ever. They were like, yeah, Uncle Ben sure likes going to the deli, and his nephew, I think, Peter Parker. Oh god, it was so bad. Oh my god. So this film I should have DNF'd. Bad movie. The Fall Guy, on the other hand, or just Fall Guy? No, The Fall Guy. Excellent movie. Great movie. So good. Fantastic. I had a good time. Action-packed. Just great. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, we already kind of talked about, but this one I saw in concert. Fantastic, goes up to cinematic masterpiece. Honestly, at this rate, I might lose my voice. How many more do we have left? Okay. Next, I rewatched Palm Springs. This is a cinematic masterpiece. This is a time travel story where it's basically a time loop that happens at this wedding. You figure out a little bit more about these characters. I'm not gonna say any more because this is fantastic and you just need to watch it. So up it goes with its family and friends at Cinematic Masterpiece. I watched Mean Girls, the musical that came out last year. Had a good time. A lot of people went into this movie not knowing it was a musical or that this was not a remake of the original film, but a film adaptation of the musical. I had a good time. I thought it was fun. It's somewhere in between it was a film and it was fantastic. I'm gonna put it up at fantastic because I did have a good time. It was good and I think it ranks above some of the films that I watched. It was a film. The Boys in the Boat. Oh my gosh, I forgot I watched this movie last year. This was the beginning of last year. It was amazing. This film takes place during, I think it's between World War I and World War II. Yes. And it is about a men's rowing team at a university in the US that makes it to the Olympics in Berlin. Incredible film. I was so excited to watch it and it came through. There we go. Oh, the lag is killing me. I watched The Miracle Club on the plane ride in December. Solid film. It did the thing. I was expecting more from it. I was expecting to feel more. It had a great cast of characters. I'm forgetting most of their names, but I had Maggie Smith and I was expecting more. It was fine. It was a film, it did the thing. I watched Iron Claw last year. I did not realize before watching it with my friend Kayla that it was going to be as intense and deal with a lot of dark themes. I thought it was more a tale of brotherly competition in the world of wrestling, which it is. But this movie's got some dark things going on as well. It's tough. It's very well done, and it is a fantastic film. But you really gotta know that this isn't a silly, goofy movie for girls' night. We had a time. Okay, the League of Gentlemanly Warfare, is that what this film is called? The Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare. Amazing. Amazing film, cinematic masterpiece. This has the same kind of action style as The Kingsman. If you've seen The Kingsman, the original Kingsman, that kind of action fighting style is what this has. Amazing. Great plot, so engaging, had a great time, cinematic masterpiece. The idea of you with Anne Hathaway. Did not love this. I was so excited about this movie and the plot was just kind of and I did not feel the chemistry between these characters really at all. So no, you know what? It has something, but nothing for me. Argyle, on the other hand, was great. I had very low expectations of this film. The trailer didn't look that great, but I watch a lot of movies. I don't know if you could tell. If you made it this far in the video, you probably can't tell. I really like going to see movies. So I go to see quite a few movies even if they don't look amazing. And this is one of the reasons why. This film was great. This is a writer who gets caught up in the world of spies and espionage, and you don't know why or how she gets involved until later in the film, and it is excellent. Fantastic film. Goes up to the fantastic tier. Furiosa. Waste of time. Waste of time. This movie was like 3.5 hours long. At least it felt that way. I thought it was mostly done, and then I checked my watch and we still were not even at the halfway point of this film. I watched this with my friend LB. We were very excited, and this film was so unnecessarily long and took forever and couldn't get to the point. Honestly, I should have DNF'd it. We should have left halfway through, because even the climax, my god. Unfrosted. I was excited about this film. This is, it's not really a biopic. It's kind of telling the true-ish story of the Kellogg's company and how Pop-Tarts were created, but it's a very comedic version. I don't know how they weren't sued, because they took a lot of creative liberties, and it wasn't funny. Like, the whole point of this film was a comedic spin on the true story, but like absolutely ridiculous and over the top. And it wasn't funny at all. So I should have stopped watching this, because I watched this on the plane. I should have DNF'd it, but I was stuck on the plane. And when you're stuck on the plane, you're like, I might as well just watch the whole thing, because I'm here anyways. Whoops. Drive Away Dolls. So excited to watch this. Was beyond thrilled to see this movie, and it just wasn't that great. Like, I had so much higher expectations. The trailer was hilarious. They go on like a road trip and end up accidentally taking the wrong car that had like drugs in it for like a drug deal. Was it drugs? No, it was something else. It was something else that was a part of some kind of criminal transaction, and they get caught up in this and they don't know what to do. And they are like 20-year-olds. And I was so excited about all of the like queer elements in this movie, which those were great, and it was funny. But it just fell short, and for that it was a film. It did the thing. Perfect Addiction. This goes immediately into it has something but nothing for me. Well, actually, no, I can't ethically, I can't put it higher. This is a bad movie. But I was highly entertained because I watched it for a movie night with my friend LB, and we had a time watching this. And you know what? It did have a good moral at the end of this film, and that did something for it. Oh, I rewatched Strange World. Cinematic masterpiece. More people need to watch this movie. A lot of people don't know about this movie, and this movie is amazing. This is a Disney film, and it's incredible, and it has a metaphor that you figure out while you're watching this, and the way that they did it is fantastic. Ugh, so good. Oh my god, I still have 3 tiers left. Jesus Christ. We need to speed this up, because I am going to lose my voice. Beetlejuice was decent. It was a film. I never was a fan of the original. This one I enjoyed a little bit more than the original. It was a fun journey. Still wasn't really that much for me. My Old Ass is a cinematic masterpiece. In this, she basically comes face to face with the older version of herself and has conversations about life and keeps seeing her older self appear, and you figure out a little bit more about what happens between these 2 ages of her, and it's so good. So good. Fly Me to the Moon was a film. It's a rom-com. It kind of plays off of the conspiracy theory of the US never landed on the moon, but in a really interesting way. But I did not feel their chemistry at all. It was a weird pairing, and it felt slow in some points. Challengers was fantastic. Was it a cinematic masterpiece? Yes. Yes, it was. It goes up. Great film, great action, great drama. Not action. Was it action? Maybe. The cinematography and the film score of this was amazing. The way that they shot this whole final sequence of them battling it out on the tennis court, so well done, so good. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was a film, it did the thing. The plot was kind of all over the place, it really dragged. It had a really great side plot, kind of, that was like this queer romance. Loved that. Honestly, the whole film should have been about that. The rest of it felt kind of like they just needed to find another plot for Ghostbusters, and they just pulled out this whole one where the world is ending, and it felt a little bit dramatic. I was like, we could have just done something a little bit lower stakes, but it felt like you raised the stakes to 1,000,000 and then you still somehow pulled it out in the end, you know? Hitman, fantastic, great film. So good, so entertaining, had a great time. Glenn Powell nailed it, so good. Lisa Frankenstein, great film. Honestly, fantastic. It was weird in all of the best ways. It just really, it did the thing, you know? It just, you don't get movies like that a lot anymore. Wicked Little Letters has something, but nothing for me. This is a true story about a woman who starts receiving really nasty letters in the mail and assumes it's her neighbor, blames her neighbor is sent to jail. There's a whole trial. It felt unnecessary. A Family Affair with Nicole Kidman, Zac Efron, and Zoe King was a waste of my time. I should not have finished it, honestly. It was, there was no chemistry between Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman. It was just weird. I did not vibe with this at all. Upgraded, I should have DNF'd. I disliked this movie. This was also a romance between a woman who starts lying when she gets like a free upgrade on a plane and pretends like she is of a much higher career level than she is. She happens to meet someone and lies to him, and then it spirals out of her control. And like, girl, I feel no pity for you. You lied and you could have come clean and you had to deal with the consequences. And she's like, oh my god, everything's terrible. I'm like, girl, no. Girl, no. I was not rooting for her at all. Beautiful Disaster. It should have DNF'd this. This does not have anything going on for it, but this was another bad movie that I went in knowing it was bad for movie night. Should I boost it up to it has something but nothing for me? You know what? It does have something. It has something in the way that it is a bad movie and you are so entertained by how bad it is, and it is perfect for Gal's movie night, and it was perfect for Gal's movie night. LB and I were laughing the entire time. We were cackling at how terrible this film was, and that's the point. That's the point of true friendship. So it does have something. Wasn't something for me, really, but we were entertained. Irish Wish is a film, and it did the thing. It's a good bad rom-com, you know? And sometimes you just need that. And it did that. It did that for me. Ricky Stenicki was not good. I thought it would be funny. I was looking forward to a goofy, funny comedy with Zac Efron, and it was not that. It's like a stacked cast too, and I kept waiting for it to be funny, and it just never was. Mother of the Bride was not good either. I was really looking forward to this. Watched this on a different plane ride. And it has Miranda Cosgrove and other actors whose names I can't remember. Brooke Shields, I think. And I loved Miranda Cosgrove, but the plot of this was not good. And I was just waiting for something interesting to happen. And I just didn't like the characters, and it was just a bummer. Oh my god, Dee Dee, cinematic masterpiece. This is similar to how 8th Grade with Isla Fisher that Bo Burnham directed a couple years ago. It is similar in how that movie really just encompasses the middle school experience in such a raw way, but this one encompasses both the middle school experience as well as immigrant Asian family experiences so beautifully and in such a raw and honest way, and it is such an emotional film that just, such a good film. Highly recommend Dee Dee. So good. All of Us Strangers, I was really looking forward to a story about, this was two very well-known actors, Paul Mescal, and I feel really bad because I can't remember his name, but he was the hot priest in Fleabag. What is that man's name? I can't remember right now. I thought it was just going to be this like interesting romance between these two characters who are living in this apartment building. It ended up being a lot deeper and darker than that, and I was not expecting that. I went in thinking this was going to be a beautiful love story, and it dealt with some darker themes that I was not emotionally prepared for after a long day of work on a weeknight. So this was a film, it did the thing. If I had different expectations and knew what it was really dealing with going in, maybe it would be fantastic, but wow. Very well done film, but wow. The Bike Riders was fantastic. I saw this in an early screening at AMC. Amazing. Very good film. All of the acting, Jodie Comer was amazing in it. So well done. Miller's Girl has maybe something, but nothing for me. I was entertained. It's a weird film. It was a weird film, but it was well done. Maybe. I don't know. Jenna Ortega and that one guy whose name I cannot remember did a good job, but yikes. Anyone But You, fantastic film. Really enjoyed this. I am not a fan of that one actress, Sydney Sweeney. I don't like her acting style. I'm sorry. I do enjoy Glenn Powell's acting style. I thought this was really entertaining and fun, but you know, good film. Really enjoyed it. Wild Robot. Oof. Incredible cinematic masterpiece. This was a beautiful movie. Did it not go up? Come on up. Here we go. This was a beautiful film. It was raw. It was emotional. I cried, I laughed, I had a great time, I was sad, I was happy. Beautifully done film. The art style was gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Inside Out 2. We finally made it to Inside Out 2. Cinematic masterpiece. If you have anxiety, this film is such a mirror of the experience of having anxiety. I think it captures it in such a raw, honest, and amazing way that I think really explains it to people who don't have anxiety and just shows it in such a vivid way. And I did not expect to feel anxious while watching this film, but seeing it depicted in such a realistic way with these animated characters was honestly very intense for me, and I will not be able to watch this film very often because of that. But you should know that it depicts anxiety in a very good depiction of anxiety. Very realistic. Oh my god, the Tearsmith. Does it have something? I don't know. No, the Tearsmith should have DNF'd. Another bad movie that LB and I watched. And I'm not even going to explain the plot of this film because yikes. Look it up. Yikes. We knew this was going to be bad going in, and we were entertained, and that was the point of the movie night. This does not have any redeeming qualities. It stays there. We Live in Time, cinematic masterpiece. I felt so many emotions while watching this film. It was so beautifully done. The acting was so raw and so emotional, and both Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh did an amazing job, and this is a beautiful film. Saturday Night, the real true story of how the first showing or first night of Saturday Night Live occurred. Very well done. It is basically a real-time showing of all of these events that unfolded, and the camera kind of pans between all these different stories. So good. Fantastic. Had a good time. Thelma, cinematic masterpiece. This is basically it has the same kind of like action as a spy or heist film would, but she's like 85 years old, and she does basically a car chase scene, but on a motorized mobility scooter. Amazing film, great story, and a lot of like really honest conversations about what it's like to be a older person in society and to be thought of differently than you had been thought of when you were younger, and to feel like you are more of a secondary character in people's lives. Beautifully done film. Oh my god, we're on our last row. Jack Whitehall, Settle Down. I think this is the newest one. Loved it. Loved that comedy special. Taylor Tomlinson, what's this one? Have It All. Fantastic as well. Loved her comedy specials. Our Little Secret was a film. It did the thing. This was a holiday film, one of Lindsay Lohan's new ones, and that one guy who was in Pretty Little Liars. The plot was kind of all over the place. It was entertaining and I had a good time. Roast of Tom Brady, I should have DNF'd. It wasn't funny. I heard that it was good. That is why I watched it. Did not like it. It wasn't for me. Some of the jokes were weird and didn't hit. It was like awkward at times. I don't know. Pissing Out Cancer, Hank Green's comedy special, was also fantastic. Great comedy special. It's available to watch on Dropout TV. Highly recommend. Oh my god, The Merry Gentleman. It was a film. It did the thing. Almost put it at fantastic, to be honest, because I had a great time watching this. Was it fantastic? The plot is so bad. The plot is so bad. It's about a woman who was, it's basically she's working at a fictional version of the Rockettes, but then she is fired and has to go back to her small town where her parents' bar is going under, and her solution for that is to have basically male Santa strippers. And by golly, it works. And what a film. I was so entertained. Cars, it was a film. It did the thing. It's a good movie. It's a good, solid movie. Bride Wars is a film. It did the thing. It is there for me when I need it to be. And the drama is so stressful, but it is entertaining. Memento, fantastic film. Really interesting. Basically, the entire film is told in reverse, and you see one full scene and then it shows you the scene that happens before then, and the main character has short-term memory loss. Very well done. Bridget Jones' Diary is a film. I would almost put it up at fantastic, but after so many rewatches, I feel like it kind of goes a little bit lower, I think. It's a good movie. Shrek 2, I rewatched with my friend Claudia when we were in Scotland together, and this was one of the DVDs available on our Airbnb, and it was a great choice. Fantastic film, let's be honest. It's Shrek 2. Like, Shrek 2 is simply fantastic. About Time is a cinematic masterpiece, one of the best romance films of all time. This is kind of a time travel story, and that's all I will say. It's beautiful. Rachel McAdams is love of my life, and I will watch anything that she's ever in. Princess Diaries 2, A Royal Engagement, is also a cinematic masterpiece, possibly better than the first one, but we won't debate that today. I think I might lose my voice, but those were all of the movies I watched in 2024. I hope you put your guesses in. If you're still watching, I watched 102 movies last year. Is that more or less than you had assumed? I'd love to know. I can't wait to see your guesses down below if anyone made any guesses. But those are all of the movies. Let's make a quick scroll through all of them. We have our cinematic masterpiece tier, our fantastic tier, our it was a film, it did the thing tier, and then it has something but nothing for me and should have DNF'd. I'm very happy to see that there are so many more cinematic masterpieces, fantastic films, and it was a film, it did the thing, over the it has something but nothing for me and should have DNF'd tier. That is very promising. Now I am going to rest my voice and drink a lot of water. But thank you so much for watching. This was so much fun to share and go through all of the movies that I watched last year. Let me know what one of your favorite movies of 2024 was and a movie that you probably should have DNF'd. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!